Hi, friends!
Hi.
Welcome back to Sinister Sisters. My name is Kat.
And my name is Shrimp.
And we are your
the sisters
hosts.
of the hosting podcast.
Today we're doing something a little bit different to what we normally, slightly different format to what we usually do. So I wanted to do something maybe a little bit more like fun and conversational. And so it's going to be a bit of one of those. You'll probably get to know us a little bit better through this episode. Hear about our hot takes.
Ooh.
Our cold takes.
Ooh.
Our
lukewarm takes. Oh no.
So essentially, where this episode idea came from was that I was watching a commentary, like social commentary channel, and she did a video. Gabby Bell is her name. She did a video on the TikTokification of music, basically talking about how like the music industry has really changed as a result of TikTok, because songs are like specifically written to be these like 30-second viral chunks. And so sometimes when you listen to a song, there's like that one good section and everything else is kind of mediocre. Or songs are literally like a minute and a half long. Like I was vibing to a song the other day and then it was over and I'm like,
hello,
this is wrong. This is big wrong. I'm a big ballad fan though. Like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
Jesus of Suburbia by Green Day.
Jesus of Suburbia. That was my fun fact. When we were in elementary school, like elementary school, it was a very Catholic town, and we were not Catholic. And we did a thing, and it was what is your favorite song? Like we had to talk about what our favorite song was, and I said Jesus of Suburbia, because I didn't know. It was just a fucking good song, right? Jen and I were in the car.
It slaps. It does.
It was like not the vibe at the time. It's a fucking good song, like objectively, but
it's not the vibe among Catholics. It's also very political. Green Day is a very political band. If you actually listen to them, they're very anti-American. Yeah. And just like, yeah. Anyway, so I'm a ballad fan. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of TikTok-y viral-esque music because I like to sink into the song. If it's under if it's under 3 minutes, I usually am not like a huge fan. And if I am a fan, then I get sick of it pretty quickly.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it has to be a belting song that I can scream in my car.
You're beautiful. You're beautiful. It's
also,
true.
What's that song called? Total Eclipse of the Heart. Great belting song.
How does that one go?
My brain just short-circuited. Hey Google.
Same. Like I absolutely know what that song is, but I just can't think of it.
Play Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Oh, turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit lonely and
The Glee version is also really good. Which is, Rachel Berry and I forget what his character name is, but it's like Jonathan Groff.
Jesse St. James. Yes.
Every now and then I
Leah Michelle is
and I need you now tonight. And I need you more than ever. Hey Google, stop, because otherwise I'm going to sing this song and get us demonetized.
Leah Michelle is a very problematic person, but she can sing really well.
Yeah.
Did you know she can't read?
I think, have you ever seen, speaking of TikTok, there was those rumors, right, that she can't read, have been flying around the internet for forever, and then she made a TikTok account, and her very first TikTok was like, something alluding to the fact that she couldn't read the script and that she was calling Jonathan Groff to help her understand what
Oh
the
my god.
lines. It was so funny.
That is funny.
But anyway.
I saw this also on TikTok, this like compilation of Leah Michelle announcing awards, and she never says it first. She never says the winner first. It's like because she can't read the teleprompter, so it's always the person next to her that like starts to say it. So it's like, oh, the winner of this award is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift.
That's funny.
Yes.
Yes, problematic.
Anyways,
but she makes for good bullying material, you know.
And good songs.
And good songs, yeah. Anyway, so this video on the TikTokification of music got me thinking about the TikTokification of our lives in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of got me to realizing how much that I think the platform actually has been very valuable and helpful in a lot of ways for a lot of people in different aspects of their lives. So I thought that's what we could talk about today. Sort of like sharing our own experiences with it and talking about kind of like other things that have gone on, but very fun and casual and conversational. So hopefully you like this style. Let us know.
We love those.
Do let us know if you hate it, but nicely.
Yeah, be nice. We're just small.
We just need to buy books.
Ew, I watched a TikTok about this person's sewer sewer that hadn't been like cleaned out, hadn't been pumped out in like 20 years.
The septic
and it
tank.
literally had a crust on it.
Yeah.
A poop crust, and it was like green.
Yeah, they smell really bad. A septic tank doesn't smell pleasant, but you put a nose plug on, and then she can't get to you. The stinky stink cannot get to you.
I don't know, man. I don't think I could scoop poop.
I could do
for a
that.
living.
Like you put on a podcast, and you just put a nose plug in, and
Put
you
on
get
Sinister
like
Sisters podcast.
You make a lot of money, actually.
Because it's a shit job.
But okay. So I have a loose script here. Let me just scroll up a bit. So if you are living under a rock and you know literally nothing about the years 2019 through 2023, like if you were cryogenically frozen, if you're Walt Disney and they've just warmed you up and you're trying to learn about what happened in the last, few years, here's the tea. TikTok.
Nice.
It originally was Musical.ly. Basically like a lip syncing platform for tweens. I feel like everyone bullied it, and then all of a sudden it just morphed into TikTok, and then everybody was into it. But it originally definitely started out as like a lip singing, dancing, Vine-esque cringy fest, yeah. But then, to me, like from my personal perspective, during the pandemic, everyone was so fucking bored of being stuck at home, so they turned to it because it was like fun, very highly tailored. Like that algorithm is insane. And
short,
yeah, fun, funny, got your mind off things. But then it slowly morphed into this more platform that's sort of used for everything, and that really highly tailored algorithm serves really well content that you didn't know that you wanted, didn't know that related to you, but it does. So then they give it to you, and then you learn things about yourself.
The more you know.
The more you know. So especially, like I said, during the pandemic, where we were all sort of like bored, couldn't communicate, couldn't connect with people physically. So a lot of people turned to connecting digitally. So then we learnt about people's hobbies, and we're able to explore these like different aspects of ourselves that we didn't have the space to pre-pandemic. So personally, where that happened for me was book talk. I got much more back. That didn't make sense. I got back into reading a lot during 2020. Something we both did a lot as children, and came back to, learned about a lot of different books that I probably never would have picked up myself. I actually really enjoy a lot of young adult novels, but I don't know that I would specifically have ventured into that section of the library, say, as a grown adult, But things like, do I have anything on here? Angie Thomas. I don't know if you can, probably not. Angie Thomas's books. So The Hate You Give, On the Come Up, and also Concrete Rose, all really great books that allowed me to learn more about the experiences of other people, which is a very valuable piece of being a reader. I also picked up embroidery. I got into dancing as an adult, partially because of Shrimp, getting into dancing as an adult, but also partially because of watching people dance and it looking fun. So that's like a new fun hobby that I have now, kind of loosely as a result of TikTok. So
same.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought yet again.
Should probably find it, innit?
I should probably find it. That's probably a good segue anyway, because I think the biggest, like, actual genuine life-changing thing that I discovered through my time on the talk was that I have ADHD. So
Same.
sort of like mid 2020, probably, the algorithms started to heavily serve me. You may have ADHD if you do these things. So I'm going to insert some into the video here, some like funny esque relatable TikToks here that you can look. And if you're listening to the audio, they'll be linked down below. But these sorts of videos were what led me on the path to getting an ADHD diagnosis.
Let's talk symptoms of ADHD in women. Women with ADHD tend to have lower self-esteem. They're more likely to be daydreamers. They tend to fidget in their chair a lot. They might deal with odd eating habits or binge eating. They're more likely to be labeled as moody or too sensitive. They tend to have difficulty with time management and organization. They tend to be more sensitive to rejection and criticism, and they're more likely to be anxious and have a serious case of imposter syndrome.
I never knew how much my ADHD affected me, and it wasn't until after I got diagnosed and started to research it that I was like, all of my problems are stemming from my ADHD. This is what I thought ADHD was: being hyper and not being able to focus and being forgetful. But once I got diagnosed, that's when I learned about like rejection sensitivity dysphoria and how it's the main source of my fatigue, and the out of sight, out of mind, and me not really being great at listening to people and not being the best with communicating and having a hard time setting boundaries and being a people pleaser and lacking motivation and having a bad appetite and having a bad relationship with food and binge eating and having a bad sleep schedule. Like, the list goes on and on and on.
I think that's been really valuable actually for a lot of people, because the ADHD literature and research that is kind of currently, or previously was what people used to make a judgment on if someone had ADHD, was almost entirely, researched on young boys who show their symptoms a lot differently than adults, and who show their symptoms a lot differently than women and girls. So when you think ADHD, I think a lot of people go like, person running around, cannot sit still, cannot calm down, like shouting, running, energetic. Right. And that's not really the case usually for adults, because by the time you get to adulthood, you have learnt that those things aren't really socially appropriate in a lot of settings, and so you internalize that hyperactivity. And especially with women and girls, that's really common, that the hyperactivity isn't external, but it's internal, which presents as like anxiety, depression, self-critical thinking, overthinking, like those kinds of symptoms. But hey, I would have never have known that without TikTok. Because that's it. I feel like pre it becoming a like almost like a trend or whatever on the internet to talk about your diagnoses, like I never would have gone to looking for that information. And I have a bachelor's degree in social work, so we learn a lot about mental illnesses throughout that degree. And so you would think that at some point in like the 5 psychology classes and probably 20 social work classes that I took, someone would have said something about, hey, this is how ADHD presents in not young boys. But they did not. So alas, I had to learn from the internet. But this has really helped. And I think like Shrimp has had this very similar experience, so she can also probably talk to this. But I think that getting the diagnosis and learning that other people were experiencing similar things to me has really helped my self-concept and my self-confidence. A lot of people with ADHD sort of like seem lazy on the outside, right? Like, because motivation is different with an ADHD brain. And so I always just internalized that and just assumed that I was lazy and that I had somehow miraculously managed to finish a bachelor's degree by like good luck and taking like easy, quote unquote, easy classes, because I didn't take any hard sciences during my time in university. But that's not true. Because obviously, if I'm interested in something, I'm motivated to learn about it. As is the case now with these podcast episodes, I research something that I'm interested in every week. So does Shrimp. We're not idiots. We're not lazy.
I really, really thought I was stupid. Like, I went to university when I was 18, as you do in Canada. And I could not motivate myself to study. Well, I should go back a bit. I was a gifted kid, which is really common for kids with ADHD, to be considered gifted, because like I would read all the time and was super, like, not to toot my own horn, but I was like good at English and humanities and things like that, and it all just came really easy to me. And so I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to learn something that I didn't care about or didn't already know about. Because through reading and being interested in books and things, like, I can remember when we learnt about the Halifax boat disaster that happened in Halifax in, like, whenever that was. I had already read, one of those Dear Canada books about it.
Those books slap.
Fucking delicious books. But I had already read that. Like, we were learning about this probably grade 9 or something. Like, we were older, and maybe grade 8. And I had already read that book when I was, like, in grade 4 or 3 or something like that, because gifted. And so I already knew about it. Fair. It is a children's book, but I mean, I was reading those kind of like chapter books when people in my grade were still reading picture books, so...
Really? How long were people in your grade reading picture books for?
Grade 4, maybe?
No.
Well, you know those like middle between them books? Like where they have pictures in them but they also have chapters, but it's like short chapters and like big font.
Yeah.
Yeah, those. I think I read Harry Potter for the first time in grade 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, so I already knew about, like, had some basic understanding about 99% of the things that I was learning in high school. Yeah. I get to university and I know fuck all. Literally fuck all. So I don't know how to study for that. And I was like, I'm fucking dumb, because I would sit down and I would try to like read the pages of the textbook that were assigned, and I just couldn't. And I could remember sitting in my like res room and being like, how did I manage to make it this far being this fucking dumb? It was ridiculous. I had so many breakdowns. And it actually turns out that I'm not dumb, just needed a different way to go about it.
Yeah. For those who like maybe don't know, the structure of a person's with ADHD's brain is is actually physically different. So most people can look at something, understand and prioritize what's important, and they can do those important things based on the assumption alone that it's important to be done. So you can like have these work tasks, like this is due tomorrow, so I need to do that now. And these other things are due next week, so I can do them later. That's how like a neurotypical brain, and you can sort of force yourself through prioritizing to get things done. But an ADHD brain is like, everything's important, everything needs to get done, everything is everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
or I found that it was, I have 6 things to do. This one at the very bottom of the list is due in 6 months, but it's something that I'm interested about, so I'm going to do that first.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though the other thing's due tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this one that's fun first.
Catches my interest. Yeah. And so that's a really common experience, I think, with ADHD. But I've learned through TikTok and then also through just like my own research that there's lots of different ways to go about motivating yourself as a person with ADHD, but you can't use the same tools that neurotypical people can use. But I literally, if not for TikTok, would have never have known that. And I would have gone through my whole life thinking that I was lazy and unmotivated and that I couldn't accomplish things because I lost interest in things quickly. Whereas that's not the case. To build a habit, you do the habit grouping thing. So I'm doing a Duolingo French course right now. I'm on day like 17. Never got this much of a streak going. And because I'm habit grouping. So I wake up, I always look at my phone when I wake up, which is bad. But I wake up and I just do one lesson or I do one practice set. Done. I've done my learning for the day. Then, and then I also group it up with other, like coming home from work or like taking my lunch break or whatever too. But that's how you do that. You know?
Yeah.
Like there's strategies, but you need to look for them and like need to understand that your brain is like fundamentally different, fundamentally structured differently. And that's also why people get overwhelmed with like sensory stuff, because your brain can't filter out that noise of cars going by is not as important as that noise of your coworker speaking to you directly. So your brain pays equal attention to both, which is fucking exhausting.
Yeah, that I have a coworker that cuts her nails at her desk, which one, ew, but 2, that sound, I cannot handle that sound.
No.
And so she's cutting her nails. It takes her sometimes 10 minutes to do it. I can't focus on shit all while she's doing it. I don't know. She like does it like fancy like choo, 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 choo. I don't know, whatever. But it takes her a long time. The whole time that she's doing it, I can't focus on a single thing. I just have to sit there and look at my computer and be like,
yeah.
I read the same message 7 times over because like this bitch has cutting her nails. It's noisy.
Yeah.
I also hear the sound of like electronics. Do you hear that?
Yes. Sometimes I can hear the electricity running through the walls.
Yeah. And it's hard to cut out, but like
it is, yeah.
Right now my laptop's fan is really loud. And I can't cut it out in my brain.
Yeah. I think sometimes too, like things like the electricity in the walls or the cars going by, your brain's recognizing it. I don't necessarily consciously recognize that I'm hearing that, but it still tires your brain out, right?
Yeah.
That's also why people who are neurodivergent require more sleep, oftentimes need more calories in a day, because your body's working. You better work, bitch.
Because like the world is not, the Western world anyways, is not designed for people who need different things.
No,
like
not at all.
We've talked about the 8-hour workday and the 4-hour work week before, how they're shit. And I do not have the mental capacity to sit and consistently churn out good work for 8 hours. Yet I'm expected to so that I can get paid to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So what they're actually doing is, what I'm actually doing is eking out my projects for as long as I can. Something that I could have finished probably 3 hours ago, I'm still tweaking or working on so that I can get paid instead of starting something new. Because I have to make this 8 hours, I have to make 40 hours a week.
Yeah. 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 And even just like timings for work. Like I work better in the morning and in the
Me too.
evening, and in the afternoon I'm basically useless. Not
Mhm.
actually useless, and I can still obviously do the functions on my job, but I very rarely in the afternoons will start a project or do something that isn't actually required of me.
Yep.
Because my brain's like, nah, dog, siesta
Yeah.
time,
I feel the same way.
go and have a nap.
Like lunchtime, I guess more like 1:30, like 3 o'clock kind of time.
Yeah.
I have to do something that's like incredibly brainless.
Yeah.
Because I just do not have the capacity. But I'm not allowed to start work before about 7:30. So
Yeah. 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 Or split your workday in half. Did you also know? I may have also learned this from TikTok just to tie it back into the concept, so we're not just ranting and raving, that it's actually unnatural in a lot of ways for humans to sleep 8 hours consecutively. Prior to modern life, humans slept 4 hours. They woke up for about an hour, like restocked the fire, checked on the horses, whatever, and then they went back to bed for 4 hours. So a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night, right? And then they think something's wrong with them. But pretty likely you were just, ancestrally related to those people who had to get up to do the
check the
things,
fires, yeah.
to keep yourself warm and all of that. But
That's also crazy.
it's impossible to do if you work like a standard 9 to 5 day, because you have to get up at 7, say, or whatever, 6. And so if you have to get up that early, you have to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and you have to sleep consistently to get that 8 hours in.
Yeah. That's fucked. I didn't know that.
Interesting. Yeah.
I also learned on TikTok, you can cut this part out if you want, but I learned on TikTok that I guess we also talked about it, that men's and women's hormones are different.
Yep.
That like women have a 28-day cycle, and so like there's different, like men get testosterone every morning.
Yeah.
So they can vibe every morning and they feel this relatively mostly the same every day. But women don't.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We did a whole episode on that. I think it was the same episode about the 40-hour work week.
Yes.
Combined information.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She's rough out there.
It's hard being a woman.
Yeah.
It's even harder being a neurodivergent woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the millennial dream is to drop out of society and live on a commune as a pioneer.
Yeah. I want to live on a commune. Like,
yeah.
Why is it so hard?
I want to sew things. I want to garden. I want to feed chickens.
Spend time with my loved ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
the dream.
Yeah.
One
I don't want to grind. From every single time I watch a documentary about cults, at the very first part, when they talk about how it started as a commune and had like a great, I'm like, that does not sound too bad.
It doesn't sound too bad.
Like, I would love that. And then they go and kill people and like kill themselves or try to poison a whole town. Like, do you mind? You had it so good.
I feel like the thing with cults is because they cut themselves off from the rest of the world. So it's really easy for people to be sort of like brainwashed or to form these like
Yeah.
bizarre ideas that aren't actually practical. So I feel like if you're going to do a commune, you still have to have connections with the outside world regularly.
Yeah, and also not to worship one person.
Yeah.
That's like a fundamental part of a cult, is that one person has like a bunch of power and all of the like people like follow them. Religion.
Some religions, though, are not one single god.
No.
That's peaceful good. Religions, the kind religions.
Anyways, we're not here to shit on religion. You believe whatever you want to believe, as long as it doesn't infringe on other people's rights.
Correct. Or harm other people.
Or harm other people. I saw on Twitter that someone in Florida, some drag show was outlawed, and then so the gay pride parade was cancelled.
That's bullshit.
Pretty sure when they started talking about banning abortion, that a lot of LGBTQ people were like, they're coming for the gays next.
Yep.
It's happening.
It's happening.
There's also, I sent a screenshot in the group chat, but on the Attorney General's website of Michigan, you can report transgender, you can report your transgender neighbors.
For what? Just for being transgender?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I didn't understand when you sent that screenshot last night because I was so painfully high.
That's really funny.
I was just like, I don't get it. I don't know, dog. Me and Skinny Boy, we're like painting and stuff downstairs, like on our main floor, and so we're taking like baseboards and trim and stuff off so we can paint, and then that's what we were doing. And then my brain turned to instant mush when I was finished doing that. I actually don't think I remember what I did between eating Chinese food and then sobering up a little bit so that I could play Counter-Strike.
Love that. Maybe it wasn't Michigan because now I can't find it.
Well, wouldn't it? Oh, I guess your phone's recording.
No, because I'm on Mac. I have the whole Mac ecosystem, the Apple ecosystem, so I can just look on my computer.
On Facebook? I can also look at Facebook on my computer.
No, my pictures are saved on my computer.
Yeah.
Oh, Missouri. Sorry, Michigan. Sorry, Michigan.
Missouri. Gotcha.
Oh, I didn't say that right. Sorry, Michigan.
Freaking wild. Did you know initially when they proposed, this was relatively recently, like within the last 30 years, that when they initially proposed the laws that would protect LGBT members in the workplace, they intentionally did not include transgender rights in the initial writing of the bill because they were like, well, then it won't get passed.
Rude.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy shit on TikTok, but all this bullshit about boycotting Bud Light over Dylan Mulvaney, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't really look that much into it because I just wrote it off as like crazy conservatives being crazy. But I guess they just like, Bud Light sent her a beer with her face on it that was like celebrating 365 days of womanhood.
Yeah.
As part of their International Women's Day campaign.
Yeah, you can't buy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, why are we pissed, folks?
I saw a TikTok or maybe a tweet and it was like, it was a TikTok. It was like, Dylan Mulvaney, can you please start posing with handguns? And then maybe they'll start doing something about gun violence. Because people, like, destroyed their Bud Lights. Like, they went and bought it
Yeah.
to, like, light them on fire and, like
Like,
throw them in places.
grow up. Why do you care?
Yeah, right?
First of all, Dylan transitioning to a woman has nothing to do with you. Bud Light being like, hey, social media star, I'm going to send you some beers to get free advertising from you or cheap advertising from you that will reach your audience of like millions of people. Here's some beers. That's
just marketing, man.
It's just marketing. We're all doing it. Every single creator who like gets paid to create gets 3 things all the fucking time.
Yeah. I found this form on Missouri's Attorney General website.
Yeah.
It's a transgender center concerns form. And it says, complete this form to submit a complaint or concern about gender transition intervention you have experienced or observed in Missouri. The Attorney General is not a private attorney, but enforces the laws of the state of Missouri as written. By submitting this form, you agree that you may be contacted by the Attorney General's office about the facts stated in the complaint. Whatever. So you can, you put your first name, your last name, your address, whatever, all of that information, and then please provide a description of your transgender center concerns. Like, hello?
So TikTok obviously can be a bad thing as well because there's some nuts sharing their nutty opinions on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think our plan was kind of not to focus on the negative too much today, but there are some weirdos, and the highly tailored feed means that if you are someone who enjoys a nutty red pill conservative content, that's what it's going to serve you, and so you never actually get a different perspective on things. But that one's really hard, right? Because obviously, like, you can't force people to look at the other side of things, because then they would do the same thing to also left-leaning folks. You would also be getting these like weird, like, conservative TikTok is crazy. There's this other social commentary channel. Can't think of what her name is off the top of my head. Anna Maria, maybe, or Anna Marie, something like that. I can link it in the episode notes, but she's done a few runs where she goes through conservative TikToks, and the shit people say is wild. I'm like, did you think about this opinion for more than half a second before you shared it on the internet?
Probably not. I just feel like as a society, we'd be a lot better off if people just didn't share their opinions. Like, just keep your thoughts to yourself. Stop trying to harm people.
We're sharing our thoughts on the internet.
Yeah, but it's okay when I do it.
Yeah. I think
every other week
people get very outrageous, and people are fighting against the wrong things. So, like, for example, you know, they always say that, like, no one defends a billionaire more than a hundredaire. All these, like, finance bros who probably make, like, a livable wage, of course, maybe, like, an $80,000 a year salary, who are like, man, those billionaires, they worked so hard. And it's like, no.
They didn't.
Fundamentally, they did not. They either came from a wealthy background, they exploited their way to the top. This is something that I'm hoping to cover in the future, is sort of like the billionaire exploitation, the paths to billionaireness, that and how they are damaging. But no one defends them more than straight white men on the internet who don't make a lot of money. Like, have some class solidarity. You're never going to be a billionaire. You're never going to be a billionaire. I read, it was like a meme, so I guess take the math with a grain of salt, but it was something like, imagine this. You were born 10,000 years ago. You make $100,000 a month, and you decide to save all of that money and because you're immortal. Cut to 2023 and you still don't have as much money as Elon Musk.
I think Elon Musk is hilarious. Like, the way people laud him about being self-made when his father literally owned a blood diamond mine, blood emeralds, whatever it was.
Yeah. Well,
was,
we don't know if it
rich
was
as
blood, but it was an emerald mine.
And it was in
Certainly
South
was an
Africa
emerald
during
mine.
the apartheid.
Yes.
So,
but
pretty suspicious, but it was an emerald mine nonetheless.
Yes. Yes, he's not self-made.
People who suck Jeffrey Bezos' dick?
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe I shouldn't word it like that, but oh, he built Amazon from the ground up, like, no help, whatever. His parents gave him $300,000 as a starting investment.
Oh, I did not know that, actually.
$300,000, that's the price of a house.
Yeah.
In some places, not even the price of a house.
Yeah. And whose parents have that money kicking around to invest in your weird online book selling? Yeah.
Yeah. And, like, that's the thing, is that it wasn't like they went to the bank and had really great credit, so they secured him a loan and, like, co-signed on a loan for him or anything. It was, they had $300,000 in their pocket that they gave to him.
Cool.
Like, hello?
Nice.
That's not self-made.
Yeah. It's not.
That's coming from money, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, to that point, I actually have literally no problem with millionaires at all. Like, you can be worth $60 million, and I'm like, okay, dude, go off.
Cool beans.
Because a lot of millionaires are genuinely self-made, or come from a short line of generational wealth. You know, like, their parents were self-made millionaires, and so they did well for themselves. But also, there's such a massive gap between being a millionaire and being a billionaire that I think people cannot fathom how much more money that is.
It's a lot.
And how much more impossible it is to spend it.
That's the thing that I don't understand, is that Jeff Bezos is worth like $290 million or something like that. And I recognize that that's not the amount that he has in his bank account, but that's the amount in, like, his assets and things like that.
Yeah.
He probably has billions in his bank account, though, still. What is he going to do with it?
Yeah.
You could never spend that in a lifetime.
No. And the argument's always that, well, billionaires stimulate the economy, right? But they don't. That's the thing. Trickle-down economics doesn't work. We've seen that it doesn't work. And if you give $100 to Elon Musk, he's going to put it in an offshore bank account, or he's going to use it to evade paying taxes somehow. But if you gave me $100, I'm going to spend it. I'm actually genuinely going to use that to stimulate the economy because there's things I want, or there's things that I
Get
need.
groceries, or
I'm going to spend. It's not going to go and sit in a tax-free offshore bank account that I'm hiding so I don't have to pay as many taxes. You know, it's going to go in my pocket. It's going to go to the store, get me something cute. That's it.
Also, Jeff Bezos, if you don't know, like, if you live under a rock, Jeff Bezos is the Amazon guy. And it is very well known that working at Amazon is terrible. They have terrible conditions. They expect so much out of you. You work for the minimum they can possibly pay you. And you're worked essentially to death. And you get no benefits. So this man has $1 bajillion, like, more money than everybody else can even fathom. And yet he's paying the people that are making him that money $0, essentially.
Yeah.
How is that stimulating the economy?
Literally.
This person goes to work at Amazon's fulfillment center in, I don't know, Arizona. I actually don't know where they are.
All over the place.
Okay, all over the place. So they go and work at Amazon's fulfillment center in Arizona, and they make enough money that they can afford to live in an apartment and just scrape by, which I'm pretty sure is not the case for Amazon. Like, they're making under a living wage.
Yeah. Yeah. Minimum wage.
How are they?
Across the board.
Yeah, minimum wage. But I'm pretty, like, minimum wage in Canada is not a living wage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, yeah.
Okay.
They're making
So they're
minimum wage,
making,
not a livable wage.
yeah, they're making below a livable wage. So yes, they're going to Amazon. They're fulfilling Amazon's orders. They're making Bezos more money at the end of the day. How has that got anything to do with Arizona as an economy? Because they're not spending more than they can afford on groceries because they can't afford it. They're buying the bare minimum and they're struggling to do that. So how they don't have any extra money to, I don't know, go mini golfing or
Support
buy
small
a fancy
businesses.
little, support small businesses or buy a fancy little dessert at the grocery store. Like,
Yeah.
they're literally scraping by so that he can hoard more simoleons.
Yeah.
Dollars.
Yep. He's wealthy enough that when he divorced his wife and settled the 50% or whatever that was, it made her the wealthiest woman in the world immediately.
Oh my god. I'm gonna fucking... Okay. The way that people talk about Mackenzie Bezos is so rude. Everyone's like, oh, here's how you become a millionaire. The most wealthiest woman in the world is you divorce a billionaire. Like, actually,
Yeah, she was
Mackenzie
like
Bezos was the first employee at Amazon in the sense that she built that shit up with him.
Yeah.
She did the accounting. She's also an author. Like, she writes children's books. And she gives away more money every year than he ever has.
Yeah.
And he cheated on her.
Yep.
So, if he didn't want her to have all of that money, shouldn't have cheated on her.
He should not have cheated on her. Yeah.
Like, that brand of hatred for Mackenzie Bezos is sucking the balls of millionaires, billionaires even, and also tied with misogyny.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And even, to be fair, even if she hadn't have worked for Amazon, she still would have supported him through building a business, which is not easy. And she would have served as like an emotional support, she
raised their kids,
creative.
probably.
Yeah. She cleaned the house. She did all the unpaid labor that women do when men are pursuing their dreams. So even the fact that she was actually genuinely involved in the building of Amazon, but also if she hadn't have been, it doesn't matter because in a marriage, it's partnership. You work together, and so she would have picked up slack for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, agreed. This is also a good segue to another aspect of TikTok that I wanted to talk about. It's sort of benefits towards like activism and understanding different social causes, I guess, for lack of a better word, that are going on. So really evident during the Black Lives Matter movement that was all over TikTok, and you could learn so much from individual like BIPOC people's experiences in the world in a way that you would never ever be able to experience as a person who's not a person of color, as a white person. So I think that was really valuable for me, especially just to see what was going on and to get to understand it from other people's perspectives instead of just on a like here's the statistics, here's the news facts of it kind of way. Because I definitely
more about how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely resonate more with personal stories a lot of times, and is what will stick in my head more. So yeah, I think that was really valuable. I actually also, during that time, read The Hate You Give, which I think everyone should read. I think it should be like required reading in high school, probably. I think it's a really excellent way to understand why the why behind the BLM movement. So, I know you didn't enjoy the writing style, Shrimp. So
Yeah, I didn't enjoy how it was written, and so therefore I couldn't. I mean, like literally, physically, like how the character was written, not the story.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get far enough into it to be able to like really have an opinion on it.
There is a movie. You should watch the movie.
Maybe I'll watch the movie
It's
instead. Yeah,
on Disney Plus.
and maybe I should just try and read the book again. Like,
Yeah.
I tried to read it a while ago, like a long time ago, like
Yeah.
maybe 3 years ago.
Longer than
So-
that, because that's when I read it.
Oh,
It's
yeah, like 5 years ago
2023,
then maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're good.
Yeah, maybe I should just try again.
Yeah. I have the prequel.
I'm more of like
It's
a
assigned.
fantasy,
Yeah.
like young adult. Like, I'm a fairy and you're a vampire. Obviously,
Oh yeah.
I'm reading A Court of Thorns and Roses again.
Oh yeah. Again.
Again.
I haven't read it at all, but I've heard it's really good.
Okay, T. The first like 3. I think there's 5 books out right now. The first 3, really good.
Hmm.
The last 2, one of them's like a sidebar book. I don't really know what it's called, but it's like 3.5 as opposed to 4.
Okay, yeah.
Like the 3.5 book in the series instead of the 4th one. I really think they're going downhill, and I think it feels like they are being written because she has to meet a quota. She was signed for 6 books, and so she has to write 6 books, but doesn't have the story for any more books.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I haven't heard that feedback from anybody else, so
That's
good. That's interesting to know. I'm not a fantasy reader though, so
no, and I don't like books that switch protagonists. Like, as you're reading them, I want like one person to be the focus or a completely omniscient narrator, right? Because I feel like it's easier to get to know the characters if you know who you are in the book, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And A Court of Thorns and Roses, the series, it switches. Like, it doesn't for the first, like, 2, maybe 3 books, and then just suddenly you're in, like, you start as the same character, and then it switches, like, every couple of chapters. And then the last book that came out is from a completely different character's perspective. And I don't like that.
Interesting. The more you know.
But the first couple, really good.
Good to know. Good to know.
The plot twist, I think the plot twist is real cool.
Good to know. I don't really actually know anything about it at all. So,
do you want like the synopsis?
Not right now, while we're in the middle of filming a podcast, but maybe later.
Can I ask you a really dumb question?
Yeah.
This popped into my head this morning, and I keep forgetting to ask about it. But you know when people say they're digging to China?
Yeah.
Is that like an actual thing? If you were like immune to heat and like ickiness by the Earth's core, could you actually dig? Is China actually below us?
Depends where you live in the world.
I mean, like in Canada.
I don't think so. I think it would be like South America.
But they're like physically like down there.
I guess, yeah. Technically.
So then like...
Because the Earth is a globe, right? A sphere. And you're like... What do I have that's spherical? This is the Earth, okay?
That's a croissant.
It's a jelly bean, actually.
Oh.
So... That's more circular shape. So you're like here in North America, right?
Yeah.
People wherever in South America are like here. because the globe is like that. Oh.
So they're quite literally underneath us.
Yeah.
So
Or we're
like,
underneath them, depending on time of the day and time of the year.
so then like,
I mean, actually, that's not true.
no, they're always the southern
Like
hemisphere.
always, yeah. Never mind.
But like, okay, so then is I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but it's like the ocean floor in the northern hemisphere. Is that their ocean floor too? Or are they like stuck together like this?
Yeah, they'd be like stuck together in the ocean core, you know. Well, there's like
And then so like,
the Earth core, and then the ocean floors around it, you know, or whatever. The stuff
so
inside
like
the Earth.
the ocean floor is like this, and if you go this way, it's North America, and if you go that way, it's Australia. Not like geographically, obviously, but I know that Australia is the southern hemisphere.
In theory, yes, but there is like more like the Earth. There's lots of things on the inside of it, and the ocean floor is actually like on the outside, comparatively.
Yeah, because there's like all the like cores and like molten lava and stuff.
Yeah, so
but
there's like the core of the Earth, and then the northern hemisphere ocean floor is on this side, the southern one's on this side. So all that's in between them is
so you could,
Earth.
if you were immune to
Theory.
the ocean, or I mean the Earth's core, you could dig. Okay, that's
In
what I need to
theory.
know.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I've seen like a Mythbusters episode on that where they like talked about how it would actually be possible. Like what kinds of like
should look
shovels you
that
would
up.
need and like that kind of thing. TikTok also became like a really good platform for like almost like crowdsourcing how to react to advocacy sort of like movements. So you probably remember when Donald Trump tried to organize a rally and then everyone reserved tickets from TikTok, so then no one actually showed up. So
That was
things like,
so funny.
yeah, things like that, and also things like I know I saw a lot when BLM was like kind of at its peak in 2020. A lot of people circulating like reading lists of things that you could check out to learn more about just to learn more in general.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really wonderful way, especially because I think Gen Zs especially are much more socially engaged than any previous generations have been. And so to get ideas and to get to bounce ideas off other people who don't necessarily live in your bubble is a great way to learn more about the world and to experience more. It's also really helpful for other communities, like, for example, people who are struggling with substance abuse or substance misuse. It can be really hard to become sober in certain situations, especially alcohol wise, because alcohol is so deeply ingrained in our society. But so you can test out the kind of bounds of your own sobriety journey through connecting with other people on a platform like TikTok that has that ability. So, yeah.
I remember when like all the abortion stuff was happening in America. I remember seeing TikToks of people in like Canada offering American women rooms in their houses so that they could go and get an abortion.
Yeah.
It was camping. They were going camping and they needed a camping friend.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also good, I think, like, you see the beauty of people when things like that do happen, when they do open their homes and their lives to people who need help.
Yeah.
Saw it too with like the stuff in Ukraine. People were like very open to hosting people who were fleeing from war.
Yeah.
And that also was something that really showed up on TikTok, I think, and had a great. I think globally we understood what was going on better from people documenting what was actually going on, you know, in Kiev or whatever. So yeah, very interesting. I think, like I said earlier, TikTok has a lot of negatives. There are some bad things about it. So obviously a lot of these positives come as being an adult on the app. I think the young people access to social media is really tricky and can be really concerning. But, as an adult, I can look after myself. I think it's shown some really beautiful aspects of the world, even if it's just like a funny skit or a cute cow video like Sinister Dad sent to us the other day. The like miniature
Fucking love
baby
cows.
Highland cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like good, gives you a smile,
Mm-hmm.
and that's never a bad thing, is it?
No.
Never a bad thing. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for today. Let us know what you thought about this kind of style of episode. It's probably going to be pretty long. I've realized I've noticed it is a trend with other podcasts too. Like the more you get comfortable, the longer your episodes become. Mm-hmm. So we're trending on an hour, I think, for probably the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So one day we'll be at Joe Rogan length, and you'll just listen to us rant.
Joe Rogan can eat my ass.
Joe Rogan the episode's too long. I just want you to get to the point.
Yeah.
But sometimes the Joe Rogan clips, the TikToks are interesting. He speaks to some interesting people. Not saying
Have you seen Liam Payne recently?
No.
Okay, we could talk about that after. Let's just...
Okay. Yeah.
Bye.
Let us know what you thought about the conversational style episode. Definitely a lot easier to prepare for.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we'll see you next week for another true crime episode. Which obviously won't be conversational in the same sense, because there's not really that much to talk about there without the facts. So,
Thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Bye.